What's going on, guys and gals? Stock Jock here. Up $1,226 in the first hour of trading. Nice day for sure. I finished actually the day up over $3,000. So let's get into the trades really quick. So my first trade was WMLP. This trade, it showed up on my low float, high day low float scanner here. I pulled it up. I click on it, I pull it up. I see that there's 1 million shares, and you can't really see that, sorry, but at the top of my screen I can see the outstanding shares that the float has. And there is 1 million shares outstanding on the float. So really, really small, right? So I'm thinking to myself, this thing has potential to move. I look at the daily chart down here, I can see, 50-cent spikes. What is this one? About a 50, 60, 70-cent spike. Right here we had an 80-cent spike, so I know it can move. The thing that intrigued me about this one is it hit my high day scanner. It looks like it was stopping this downtrend. You can kind of see recently it had a downtrend pop up and came right back down to this level, and this dollar level has been support. Now it looks like it's curling back up. So that's one thing. The daily chart was at least sideways or up. The other thing that I had going for it is at this time of day there was really nothing working. There was one other stock that hit the scanners that did work pretty good, but after that nothing had really been working, and all I was really watching for is just volume to come into this. It was over the 150 level. It started out of the day in the 135, 140 area, got a little volume, hit the scanners right in through here. And as it was going high a day, I kept watching the L2, seeing the bid kind of creep up, and then there was kind of just a little bit of a block on the ask. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if the ask starts getting taken out, I'm going to jump in. With these low floats, you either have to get in early or you have to wait for a pop, pull back, and then candle over candle. You can't chase. So a lot of times you'll see me get in early, and if the stock pops, which in this case it did, it's a big score. If it doesn't pop and I have to sell, I'm just losing maybe 10 cents. So 10, 20 cents, whatever. So the risk reward was there, especially being a 1 million share outstanding float. Pretty small. I know it can move, especially if eyes are on it. So it gets a little volume. I see people getting in. I buy 2,000 shares at an average of 166. So right in here. And as soon as I do that, it starts creeping up. People are buying the ask. Then someone buys a lot of shares, pops it up, starts hitting everybody's scanners. That's a day trader out there. Chat room start jumping into it. Gets this thing popping up. It pops over $2 here, and I sell half. The reason why I sell half is because recently these low float stocks, they'll get a pop and then they'll sell off hard, like way harder than the initial move. So by selling half, I guarantee myself a win. Worst case scenario, I stop out, break even on the second half. That actually happened to me yesterday on a stock. I can't remember what, but popped up, I sold half, and then it came right back down. I sold the second half, and then the stock continued just destroying itself. So anyway, I sell half at 209, and the stock halts, and it reopens and pops up, and I sell over 250. I think I sell at 250. Let's see here. Yeah, 257, and it ends up going 310, and just had a monster day after that. But definitely a nice win. You'll see my first sell at 209 for the break of that $2 level, and we'll get on to the trades after that. Watching this WMLP. I'm long this WMLP. It's getting volume now.
The problem with VTGN to me is it's the pre-market high,
Pompeo
which
says U.S. has made
is a
zero
little bit high.
concessions to North
That's
Korea.
funny. XSPL
We have no
opening
intention of
here at
making concessions.
938. I'll keep it on watch. W. Longs
Sold
on
half 209.
WMLP
Looks like it's gonna halt.
going into a halt. Looks like they'll get a
So the
fall.
halt's gonna be right at 209.
Only filled 17.
So this next trade was DCAR. This one just hit the scanners next. You know, so we just had WMLP spike huge halt. So a lot of times when a stock will do that, it starts to excite the other low float stocks out there. So DCAR was the next one to hit my low float high day scanner. I click on it. I see that it's kind of heading towards that whole dollar level, that $2, $2 level. So I jump in. I'm chasing it a little bit. There's no real good entry besides just trying to get in Momo, which I typically don't like to do. But because we just kind of broke high day here, I did jump in. I chased it a little bit. Chased it about 6 cents. So it, not too much over the high day break. But I was willing to jump into it because we just had, like I said, WMLP, skyrocket. And a lot of times when one just starts going nuts and halts, uh, the other stocks, whatever hits the scanner next, people want to jump into. It creates kind of like a feeding frenzy. So this was the next one that hit my scanners. It was just a matter of getting in first, so to speak. I thought it could go to $2, and I didn't let it. I didn't let it do its thing. It did end up going over 2. I got a little spooked. It popped up to like 190. I got in at 185. You can see right here. Popped up to 190 and then started coming back down. And I was just like, if we can get to 190 and not push to 2 on the first push, I just need to get out. So I got out for a 2-cent win.
Really.
D car hitting scanners. I'm long at 185. This is a former runner, one I'm familiar with. It looks like it has news out today too. Not hard, not really great news. Small position because I'm catching the end of this move. It looks like.
Daily chart.
All right, I'm out +2. Oh, terrible fill. So this next trade is the opening of WMLP after the halt. You can kind of see, like we talked about earlier, it halted here, and recently these stocks that if they got into a halt, they'll do a short pop out of the open and then they sell off pretty hard. So I have that in the back of my mind of how they have been trading. Go figure, the one that I'm actually in and it's halted on traded today completely different against the recent trend. This one, it popped up and it just kind of held that level all day till later in the day. But anyway, we're talking about coming out of the halt here. So in the back of my mind, we halted right at 209, right? So I'm thinking maybe, just maybe, we get the break of 250, and I'm gonna sell there. Just trying to get somewhere in between $2 or 209 and 250. That was my goal, somewhere in there. Anything over 250 would have been bonus, but that was just my goal. If it looked like it was just gonna sell off out of the open, I was gonna let it go, dip down just a tad bit, maybe break through $2 again and sell on the other side of 2 immediately. But it opened up strong, popped up, hit my price area. I sold at 257, and right after I sold, it did pop up over 3. So that one was kind of hard to watch. But again, my goal is not to hold this and try to squeeze every little piece of this move out. I had no way of knowing that this thing was going to move like it did. I'd much rather, sell into a spike and then wait for a secondary entry, second entry on it. Play it again later when I get this is I basically made almost $1 on this move total on the second lot. So I've got to lock in profit, right? I don't make a dime until I sell. So I'm more than happy. I would do the exact same thing over again. Sell, pay myself, and then just wait, be patient, and get back in at some point whenever a setup happens that I'm happy with. So this was a nice win for sure.
WMLP shares now at 226, getting another pop here.
WLP still going. This is great.
Just added at $1.50 on WMLP.
All right, I'm out 257. Wow. I got out second half at 257.
Over 290, I would add it again for the break of 3. So it looks like we could go
So that's a $1,300 trade there.
115, 120.
So the next stock was SGLB. This one, again, we just had WMLP just go skyrocket, so I'm looking to play the next hit on my low float high day scanner. That's all it is. It hits my scanner, I flip over to it, I see that it hasn't, the low day is like 145, right? And I get in at 158. So when I see that it hasn't really, it's only moved, 10 cents, 13 cents. I'm like, okay, let's take a stab at it. If this thing wants to move to $2, great. It's $500. If it doesn't go anywhere and I have to sell for low a day, I'm out $130. Worst case scenario. In this case, though, it does pop up. A little momentum starts coming into it, and it just kind of stalls out. It really doesn't get the momentum that I was looking for. And as it's coming back down, I thought I was actually sell for like a 2 or 3 cent profit on this for 20-30 bucks, but I ended up getting out break even as it was coming back down. And it was the wise decision. It did come all the way back down below, and almost tested low a day before much later on it did rip and do it. I was hoping it would do over here, but there was no way of knowing this was going to happen. So anyway, a break-even trade, but nonetheless worth showing.
I'm adding again.
SGLB, former runner, hitting the scanners, 5 million share float. I'll jump in it with WMLP moving 158. So people will start looking for that second stock to go. Hard resistance at 170 on this one, though. If we can get over that, we might have a chance.
JD, Juliet Delta, JD.com.
Taking small positions on these plays right now.
Reports circulating out from traders that Tencent could make a bid for JD.com.
For an ad,
Juliet
back over
Delta.
$3 on this one.
BIOL going.
There's the high.
Again, that's unconfirmed chatter circulating now among traders.
All right, I'm out break even on SGLB.
Up 7 cents.
So this next trade was a 5-minute play, actually. It's been a while since I've been able to use my 5-minute strategy. It didn't work for me right here. But a lot of times on these stocks that move up, there's a thing I call the 5-minute strategy. You've got the pop, and the pop is just, new high, new high, new high candles, right? The pullback happens when we don't have a new high, and preferably we break the low of the previous candle. So this is a pullback candle. Ideally, we get 2 of these, right? But we only got 1. I would want to see, a pop, pullback, maybe 10 minutes of pullback instead of just 5. And then what I like to do after the pullback, this is the pullback candle, the first candle to make a new high, to break the high of the previous pullback candle, I go long on. So let's just kind of here's our pop, right? Here's our pullback candle, this guy right here. And I was sitting right here waiting for us to go candle over candle. You know, I guess I could just do it like this, right? Sitting inside this candle now. As soon as we break the high of the previous pullback candle, I go long. You know, and ideally it works better if there's two of these. You know, we'll have a pullback candle and then maybe another pullback candle that's, you know, like this, and then we go candle over candle. It didn't work out a lot of times when there's only one pullback candle after the pop. This is kind of what happens, just what a false break. It did end up, you know, ripping higher, but the reasons why I got in, it didn't work out. I got in at 337, looking for that break that I was talking about right here. Got in at 337. You can see it here on the 1 minute chart. 337 pops up. Sorry, I'm at the wrong time frame over here. Go long right inside this candle, and it sells back off, and it flushes me out. It didn't do what I wanted it to do or thought it was going to do, so I've got to respect that. It could have just as easily, you know, popped up, broken VWAP, and sold off. It just so happened in this case it bounced off of VWAP and, you know, got that move that I was looking for. But, you know, again, there's no way of knowing that. So it didn't work out for me. It flushed me out. I lost 11 cents on this $220. But again, I would make that same trade, even though I lost money. I would make that same trade over and over again, because by selling, you know, 95% of the time, it saves me from becoming a bag holder. You know, so yeah, it didn't work out. But again, I would make the same trade time and time again. So I really like how, okay, 5 minute play on WMLP right now, over 35. I'm long at 37, of course. And I'm out at 26. Got that candle over candle, didn't do anything, had to bail. Didn't do what I thought it was going to do, had to bail. So BLIN, this one popped up earlier, you know, I hadn't done much, and then all of a sudden it just gets crazy volume. It blows up my high day low float scanner. Again, this is the feeding frenzy mentality that I'm talking about here. You know, when one just goes nuts, the next ones usually can move. You know, in a really hot market, they'll move just as good as that first one, but we're not in a really hot market yet. We're just in kind of like the sympathy plays that'll just get just a little bit of a tease sometimes, maybe get you a little excited kind of thing. But anyway, it blows up my scanner. I get in at 168, and I'm okay with that because it hasn't really moved crazy yet, right? So, you know, if this level right here is, call it the base, right? This is support, this area right here. Let's call it, you know, 158. You know, I get in, I see this thing hit my scanners. I get over here. It's only 10 cents from this level. So I'm thinking to myself, worst case scenario, if I have to get in right here at 168, it comes down here and I just sell before maybe this level breaks. So I'm risking 10 cents is what I'm thinking to myself. What happens here is it pops up. I get in, like I said, 168. It starts to stall, and this is more of an L2, a level 2 thing of why I sold. I see a lot of volume come through, and it's hitting the ask, and it's not making the ask disappear. And in fact, the ask, even though all this volume is going through on the ask price was moving down. It went from 175, where all this volume was going in at, to 174. So when I saw that, I was like, nope, not messing around with that at all. I'm getting out. Later on, as soon as I got out, it did drop down to 164. It did pop back up, so you know, it was kind of whatever. But a lot of times, more times than not, when you see that happen on the L2, there's a hidden sell there, and it's just time to cut it loose and move on.
Almost 4 million shares of volume. I think this is going to break over 4.
along BLIN 169.
A nice ramp there, nice sort of that squeeze.
4 million share float. You know, I'm risking basically 10 cents. So we'll see if this can get going. You look at the daily chart. Last time it had good volume, it hit 350. Not thinking it does that today, but you know, with WMLP going stupid, I expect the next ones to hit the scanners to do the same thing. If we get over 177, we might have, or 177, 179, we might have room to $2 is kind of what I'm looking for. It needs to hold up though. I'm not gonna. So good volume and it's not going anywhere. It's a bearish sign. I'm gonna get out. I'm out. 171. So I saw a lot of volume come in there, and the ask was actually moving down when I see that, and I'm just like, nah, I ain't messing around with you. I'll play it maybe for a 1 minute candle over candle, +2 on the trade there. So this next trade, MTSL, this one, you know, never traded before. It pops up, it hits my low float scanner. So again, this will be like the third one to hit my scanner and not really do anything. So it's definitely starting to make a trend here that these sympathy plays, the ones that, these secondary plays, the ones that are hitting the scanner here, aren't really gonna move. But anyway, I still want to give it a shot, you know, at this point in the day. It hits the scanner. I'm watching it, seeing if volume's going to come in. You know, there's the pop. Here's a 1 minute pullback candle. And a bid starts to come up. And when I see the bid come up, it gives me an entry for a candle over candle on the 1 minute here. So I get in, it pops back up. Now and it double tops, and the volume just stops. It just dies. So when I see that, this is kind of a level 2 exit. I see a bid at 169, you know, right here, and I'm telling myself, okay, if that looks like it's gonna, if that backstop, I'll use that as a backstop. If it looks like it's going to fall apart, I'll sell, and I'll use that 169 level as an area to sell into before the flush happens. And that's exactly what happens, right? The move stops. A small chunk got taken out of the bid at 169, and when I see that, I'm like, time to get out, because there's only about 1,500 shares left, and I'm going to take 1,000 of those shares and let everybody else fight over the remaining 500. So I sell into that level, and as soon as I sell, everybody else had the same exact plan. Dropped it 10 cents on them, and where did it end up on the day? Yeah, way down there. So, you know, it was a good strategy. It could have gone to 2. What you don't see in the video is I did check further back 6 months on the daily chart, and that's why I was more inclined to play this, because I'm like, whoa, this thing has a history. And I wonder if, yeah, even if I go back a year, you can see it. It has a history of pops. Like back here, went from $2 to $4 twice, back-to-back days. And then like 2 weeks later, it did it again, $2 to $4. Just recently, maybe 2 weeks ago, or a month ago, it went from $1.67 to $2.81. So it can move $1 pretty easily in its history. That's why I was willing to try this. It just, today wasn't the day for it. So you just got to know when to fold them. And you know, I lost, you know, what is that, $40. But it could have been worse. It could have been, you know, over 100. I only took a half size on this one, and you know, it wasn't that bad of a loss.
ZTE, no final resolution reached on the ZTE issue.
So over 378 would be approximate scalp.
I'm gonna go long this MTSL, starting getting a bid. I'm doing a half size right now.
That would be a break of the descending line. The high of the last 5 minute candle is 86. So you could have done a scalp there. Right now it's flat. So it hit 86, 87, that first resistance point.
Stop loss will probably be for sure under 165, but more importantly, I'm looking at that 169 block that keeps showing up on the bid. If that looks like it's getting taken out, I'll bail. Basically risking $50.
Watching here, the volume. First 5 minute candle to make a new high. A little more volume than this.
All right, I'm out. 169. Look like, oh gosh.
Technically, this is a false
So
breakout right now on the 5 minute.
started to get hit, and I just didn't want to be in it if it flushed, which it just did. So minus 40 bucks. So this next play on XGTI, this is actually a news play. You can kind of see out of nowhere this thing just shot up. And I was definitely willing to play this one. It's a name I'm somewhat familiar with. But also the past 3 days, these penny stocks with, you know, low shares outstanding on them, those have been the hot ticket. Like we've seen 200% movers, 300%, 400% movers out of some of these penny plays, these true penny plays. So when a penny play that's, you know, it's got a low amount of shares available, when it actually gets news, I'm gonna jump on that. And that's what happened. I took 5,000 shares when I heard the news. It was just a contract. I knew it was, you know, kind of the contract was for like $1 million in revenue from the Air Force, but you know, it had the buzzword Air Force. I thought I knew the revenue of this company, just kind of in the back of my mind that, you know, the revenue, they bring in quite a bit of money and they just lose a lot of money too. So I kind of knew that $1 million wasn't a big deal at all to this company when they bring it in, you know, maybe 20 or 30 million a year. But again, it was enough to pop the stock, and that's all I'm looking for. I got in at 84.5. I took 5,000 shares on this, popped up, got to 90. I sold 2,000 shares, started moving back down, sold 1,000, and right before, basically sold the remaining 2,000 for, you know, a $40 win, as I was about to go break even on it, and I just didn't want to go red on it. So that's why it's always good to lighten your load, cash in when you know you're green, because you never know what the stock's going to do. I thought it was going to break $1. I really did, but I'm glad I sold 2,000 at 90 cents and, you know, 1,087, because it did just come back down, and we did get one more pop, but it did end up dropping right back down to where it was before the news broke. had a potential to get, you know, a buck out of that move. But XGTI moving hard. Contract news. $1.4 million U.S. Air Force packed.
Yeah, Mike is gonna have his own chat room. We were planning on releasing it next week, but we're gonna push back the release
I'll go long at 85, looking for $1 on this thing.
because we're releasing some updates for the inner circle room right now. We're trying to figure also how many
Sold
servers
some at 90 cents. Just to, I took a big
when
share
bell
size.
rings at 9:30. Right now it's looking like more than 20 servers.
Sold more at 87.
So we're making sure everything's configured right. We don't want to have a experience for you guys that's worse than what we're currently having. No, servers for hosting chat rooms.
All out 85.
The live broadcast.
So the last bit there was break even. Just looked like the momentum had stalled, and I'd like to see it.
Have both chat rooms open.
Obviously, pull back here and then candle over candle for the rest of the move. XGTI. So my last play of the morning was XGTI again. We had the pop and the pullback, and I was kind of just looking for maybe a VWAP bounce on this thing right here. So I bought the VWAP at 85 cents right in here. Got a quick pop up, and I was kind of green on it, but then it just kind of faded back down. And you know, this candle that I bought kind of cracked the VWAP a little bit, but I just told myself my stop loss will be low. You know, on the next candle, it'll be the low of the candle I bought, so that would be like 83.5. So it just continued to break down. So I sold one, you know, stopping out 2,000 shares for a loss of $40, and it was the right decision because it did, you know, move back down to 81. It did pop back up, but at that point, VWAP was going to be resistance, and just sold off after that. So the move was done. Had to listen to the market.
So yeah, they like references. I think I put my just like a person at the bank as my reference of where I had my checking account. I don't think they ever call it. I never heard of it.
And that's how I finished the morning, up $1,226. If you have any questions on my trading style, feel free to ask. You can find me in my free Discord chat. Link for that is in the description down below. If you're interested in joining a chat room, and one of the paid services that I personally subscribe to. Link for all those is also in the description of this video. So if you have any questions on any of those, I'd be more than happy to help. All right, I'll see you in the next video.